Hi everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood instructional designer. Today we are going to look at creating questions and question groups in the Canvas quizzes tool. So you'll click on your course in Canvas that you want to create a quiz in, and then you will find the quizzes tab in the left-hand navigation menu and click on that. And today we are going to create a new quiz. So I'm going to click the Add Quiz button in the upper right-hand corner. It's first going to take you to the details screen. I cover setting up the details, including the quiz instructions and all of the quiz settings in another video. What we're going to focus on today is creating questions and question groups, including the different types of questions that you may want to add to your test. When you click on the questions tab, you will see you've got three options here. You can add a new question. You can create a new question group. And if you have question banks that already exist within your course, you could click Find Questions. We're not going to worry about that right now. That's going to be a separate video. But I always recommend just starting by creating a question group rather than creating questions outside of a group. The reason for that is that you have a lot more flexibility with what you can do with a question group. So I'm going to go ahead and click the Add New Question Group button, and it's going to ask me what I want to name my group. I just always call it group. But what you could do here is if you maybe had a test that contained questions from multiple chapters, you might want to call this chapter 3, and the students will know and you will know that all of the questions within this group are going to be relevant to chapter 3. Over here is where you will pick a certain number of questions in the group for each student to be assigned. So if you were wanting to, let's say, have a question group that contains 50 questions, and you wanted each student to get 25 of those questions, that means that each student is going to get a random assortment of 25 out of those 50 questions. But you could also do this if you're wanting each of your students to get all 25 questions, but you want those 25 questions to be shuffled or randomized. So this is the only way to randomize questions in a test in Canvas. You have to put them into a question group, and then they automatically will be shuffled for each student. So if I'm going to have them all get all of these questions, I will need to put them into a question group if I want those questions to be shuffled. You'll put here how many points you want per question. So all of the questions in a group need to have the same number of points associated with them. Because of that, if you've got, let's say, 25 questions that are worth 4 points each, and then you've got 2 essay questions that are worth 10 points each, you would need to create another group to put those 2 questions in. So now that I have my question group here, I can click Create Group. One thing I've seen people do is create a group and then come down and click this New Question button. If you do that, it will create a new question, but it's not going to create it within this group. To add a question to the group, you need to click this plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. And by the way, it's always going to start by saying this question group is set to pick more questions than are available, because we don't have any questions in here yet, so that does make sense. It will go away once I get at least 25 questions added to this group. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and we'll go over several of the most used question types. So we're going to start out with a multiple choice question. This drop-down menu will allow you to select the question type, but we're going to stick with multiple choice for now. And you will need to enter your question in this box. If you're starting from scratch, you can just type the question here in this box. If you have a test that was already created, let's say maybe in a Word document that you are looking to turn into a quiz in Canvas, you can copy and paste questions from an existing document into the quizzes tool. So the way that would work is I would pull up my Word document that contains my questions. I would make it so that it's not full screen, and then also make your Canvas quizzes page so it's not full screen also. And then you can just copy the question and paste it into the box here. And then you're going to need to paste each answer choice into its own box. So I would go back and I'm going to need to highlight each answer choice, copy it and paste it, and repeat that process until I have all of my answer choices here. If I needed to have more than 4 answer choices, I can click this add another answer and it will give me another blank to put an answer choice in. If you are using less than 4, it provides 4 automatically, or if you create one by accident, you can click that delete. You will need to click the delete so that it only has the correct number of fields here for your answer choices. You don't want a blank one in there. So when it comes to my answer choices, it is very important that I select the correct answer so that Canvas can correctly auto grade these multiple choice questions for me. By default, the correct answer arrow is going to be selected for that first answer choice at the top. But obviously, if it's not the first answer that is correct, you're going to want to select the correct answer. Make sure that that arrow is pointing to the correct answer so that it awards points correctly or takes points from students. In this case, it turns out that the first answer is the one that is correct. You can provide feedback to the students for whichever answer choice they pick, if you wanted to give them a compliment for picking the right answer. But what's really useful is you can also provide feedback to them for something that they picked that's incorrect. So if you know that a certain incorrect answer choice is commonly picked by students for whatever reason, you could provide them with additional information to help them understand why they got that wrong and what the correct answer is. And you would put that in this box. So now I have my question, I have all of my answer choices. If you look here, you will have your rich content editor, and I do cover the rich content editor in a lot of detail in another video. All of the same tools that you have in Pages and Assignments and all of those different places in Canvas, you also have available to you in Quizzes. So just for a quick example, let's say that I wanted to insert a picture for my students to refer to as they're taking their test. I would do that by clicking on this embed image button here. And I'm going to, normally I'm going to want to click on Canvas. Most of the time when you're putting a picture in, you don't have a URL for that picture. So I'm going to click on Canvas. And if it's already a picture that I have in my course, I can click Course Files and I'll have a list of all of the images in my course and I can select the image from the list. But if it's something that I don't have in my course yet, I can click Upload File and it's going to take me to my computer so that I can select the image that I want. And I can just double click. It's going to upload that image. And I would want to make sure that I provide alt text for the picture, just a simple description. So here I've just provided a description of what is in that image in case I have a student who is visually impaired, who might need to use a screen reader or would find it helpful to have a description of the image read to them. And then I'm going to click Update. And now this image is available to my students to use in answering this question. When I'm finished with the question, I'll come down and click Update Question. This is what it will look like to students. So now we will look at true and false questions. True and false questions are very similar to multiple choice, the only difference being that you're not going to need to type your answer choices in here. True and false are the only answer choices, and those are already provided for you. So you would just type your question or copy and paste the question right into the box. This time we'll look at a fill in the blank question here. The one thing that is important to pay attention to with fill in the blank questions is that you will want to think of possible different answers that students could supply that could also be correct. And that's up to you if you're going to accept spelling errors that are common for certain things. So you may not be able to think of every possible variation that you would get, but it's a good idea to consider the fact that students may have the right idea, but put something slightly different. And anything that is different between the possible answer that you put in and the answer that a student provides is going to cause it to be marked wrong. Fill in multiple blanks works similarly, but you're going to have more than one blank and you'll need to provide possible answers for both of those blanks. Multiple answers are going to be similar to multiple choice. The only difference being that multiple choice questions only have one correct answer, whereas multiple answer questions, students can select as many as they think are correct, which will also allow you to mark more than one answer correct. So in this case, using the same question from my multiple answer, I'm going to want to select all the possible answer choices that I would accept as being correct. Matching is another option. You would put your question, or really kind of your directions, in the box here. So you're going to want to put the correct responses that go together next to each other, and then Canvas will randomize them for the students. Again, if you need to add another answer choice, you will just click this here. And you can also add additional distractors. So if you want to have more than 4 responses that the students can choose from on the right-hand side, you can always add additional answer choices here. For students, this will show up as for each matching question, they will have the term over on the left, and then they'll have a drop-down menu over on the right that they will need to select the correct match from. If you are a math teacher, you can do a numerical answer where you can give a range. So if a student comes up with, let's say you want it to go to the 10th place, but you will accept to the 100th place, if you give a range, then Canvas will accept anything within that range as a correct answer. And the last one that I'm going to look at here is an essay question. And obviously with essay questions, you are not going to have correct answers in here. This is going to be manually graded by you, and Canvas will grade the parts that it can grade, and then you'll need to go in and assign points for essay questions. When you're finished with your test, you're going to click Save and Publish, or just save if you know that you're going to want to come back and finish that test later. I do want to show you what it'll look like if you need to edit the test. So if I had to come back and add some more questions or make a change, I would click Edit. Keep in mind, if students have already started taking the test, you will get a blue banner across the top warning you that students have already started taking the test and that changing questions may affect that. But what I want to show you here is if you have 25 questions or less, you can click this Show Question Details box. And what this will do is expand all of the questions in the test, and this applies to questions that are in a group or not in a group. And it will show you what all of the questions are and the answer choices. If you needed to edit a question, you need to hover over that question on the right-hand side and click on the pencil, and that will bring up the question and allow you to edit it. And then you would need to click Update Question if you've made any changes. If you have a quiz that has more than 25 questions, you're not going to be able to click that Show Question Details box, which just means that basically it's just going to show you all of the questions, and if you want to see the answer choices, you'll have to click on that pencil to expand it, and then it will pull up your answer choices and you can make any changes that you need. If you need to edit the group itself, you can click on the little pencil icon here. This will allow you to edit the group name, and this is also where you can change the point value for the questions in the test. And then just click Update Group to save your changes, and then also click Save down at the bottom. After you've saved your quiz, you'll need to go and add it to the module that it needs to go in. So you'll find the module, click the plus sign, select Quiz from the drop-down menu, find the quiz in the list, and click Add Item. Grading a quiz is going to be covered in another video.